All right, we're live. Hello, everyone. How's it going? Zoomed in. Didn't mean to do that. Okay, I always have like this exclamation point on the audio, and like, is it not working? It says it's working. I'm getting levels, so whatever. We're gonna keep going. Okay, so since last Wednesday's live stream, I actually made a tag. I tagged V1.0 on this thing. So let's kind of take a look at that just as like a refresher, because I try not to do too much off stream. I like to do it all on here, so you can, those that actually want to watch all the parts, part 1 through 4, and get everything, like, you can. So anyway, hey Alex, how's it going? Hey, 3x3k5. Hi. I doubt you're real. Anyway, okay, so let's go back. So the point is, what I did off stream, let me catch you up. Basically what I did off stream was I brought over that find by trait that we worked on. We did work on that in part 3. So basically I took that out of that little Laravel 12 hacks package where we kind of proved it out, and I brought it over here and kind of demonstrated with a nice little PR. Now that we're starting to do tags and stuff, instead of committing straight to main, I'm going to PR stuff because it gives me a chance to kind of add some additional documentation. So basically, as we talked about in part 3, this is kind of like the dynamic finders in Rails. It allows you to have these dynamic find by eloquent methods, and then the suffix is the sentence case or proper case of Studley case, I think they call that in Laravel, of the column name. So in this case, it's going to find by post. So this is the equivalent of saying like where title Laravel forever first. It's just a shorthand. So anyway, this was brought into the framework, not the framework. Brought into this package as an addition to the framework, and I did some, real simple documentation down here. So we wrote the status helper in part 1. That was done, completed, and I just kind of demonstrate like where I did try to put these in the framework before, just in case someday that ever can get revived. If this package gets a lot of use. And then again, here's the kind of dynamic find by. So for right now, the README is the documentation. This thing has 3 stars, no uses. So for now, everything's just on GitHub. If this got 10,000 downloads or something at some point, maybe I'll make a prettier documentation. But for now, I think this is sufficient. So to the point of the little to-do section, I'd like to work on this force create today, because I think that's probably achievable in a stream, probably in about 30 minutes, kind of like we did with find by. I'm not going to worry about writing the test or whatever. Let's just put the trait in our little hacks, Laravel 12 new app, kind of prove it out, and then I'll just copy the trait over and add some tests for it again off stream. Just because I don't want this to be about like testing a package. This is about like writing the new features. If people are interested in that, let me know in the comments. One of the final part 6, part 7, whatever streams, I can write a quick test for one of these to demonstrate how you would do it. But really, I'm just using Orchestra Test Bench, which is a nice package specifically for testing Laravel packages. So anyway, to that point, let's jump back to our Laravel 12 hacks, this little find by, and we'll kind of, let's see if we can add this like, safe creation or, whatever we want to call it. So let's see here. I'm hearing some more stuff in the chat. Hey, Samuel. Hey, Prasad. How's it going? Alex. Hey everybody, thanks for joining again. I'm seeing some similar names here, some previous names, so thanks for rejoining. Hope you're getting something out of it. All right, so I do think we kind of worked on force create a little bit before, maybe. Let's get rid of this find by trait. And I thought we had, maybe it's under HTTP. Yeah, here we go. We had this like this demo of this. Do we have this method? Yeah, we do. Here we go. Okay, this was actually not part of this kind of series of streams. This was done a while back because I attempted I was thinking about putting this back in Laravel 12. So this was on a live stream, but it was on this Laravel 12 hacks live stream. I decided not to PR it. The PRs that I were putting in were already getting closed. Again, that's kind of the genesis of this package, this Laravel Editions package that I've made, is because all of these things kind of just got closed. They honestly, they kind of got met with a lot of noise. And by noise, I mean like a lot of opposition in the comments from, in fairness, just one or two people. But it just, generally, it wasn't a very positive experience. And so I kind of just quit PRing these like new ideas. So let me bring you up to speed on what this is. Because again, it's already written. So we basically just need to wrap it up in a trait and prove that it still works. So I PR'd this a long time ago, actually, to Laravel 11, possibly even Laravel 10, right before the release. And again, it was met with some opposition. So I just kind of backed off. But the goal here, if we go back to the user land code or the demo code, let's just kind of focus in on this. So we have this user update request. Let's bring this back to life so these kind of fill out now. So I would like to be able to do this. Now, on the surface, we talked about this. I talked about this in the original stream. But on the surface, these two, kind of appear equivalent. This is the way you would write it in like currently in Laravel. And this is kind of like the ideal way for me, okay? This is for me. This is like what I would like to be able to do. I appreciate that other people think this is craziness. But as someone who's used Laravel for 12 years, as someone who follows the conventions and what I consider best practices out of the documentation, in this case, using a form request to validate, I would like to be able to just pass the safe object, the validated data, to create and have it just work, okay? Now again, on the surface, it seems like I'm only saving, 6 characters, 7 characters. But that's kind of this is an apples to oranges comparison. This is a surface level comparison. This is not all. You have to go down into your user model and either A, unguard everything, which I think you're just breaking fillable at that point anyway, and you have no argument, in my opinion, against what I'm about to create. Or most people, I think, on the other hand, have fillable. And here's where it becomes different. You have to say like name is fillable and email is fillable and all the other stuff is fillable for this to work. Otherwise, you're either going to need an exception or certain fields are not going to be saved, and then again you get an exception at the SQL level that like, oh, name field can't be null. Well, why is it null? Oh, it's silently discarded. That attribute. Now, again, you can turn that off in modern Laravel. You can toggle that with some app level settings, which are nice. But that's kind of why this is only a surface level comparison, is because there's more code behind even allowing this to work. Whereas this kind of ideal way would just work. It doesn't matter what's in fillable, doesn't matter fillable guarded, none of that dance. It just works. And the reason it just works is, again, it's a little more forceful in the way that it saves, because as the developer, you are telling the system, you're telling Laravel, this is safe data, trust it. Now again, like the dynamic finders, going back to Rails has concepts of this too inside of it. And again, a long time ago, they might have adjusted this since, version 3 that I used to write, but they had the idea of what I believe they called strong parameters. And if you marked something as being a strong parameter, you were allowed to save it, and it effectively bypassed mass assignment protection because you claimed as the developer that was a strong parameter. So I'm replicating again from Rails some of that behavior, sharp knife behavior, right? Some of that like really rich power user developer, power developer kind of experience. So to make this work, we already kind of proved it out. To make this work, what happens is there is no public static create method, so we can write one directly onto the model class or a trait that the model could use, just like the find by. And we basically new up an instance. If it is an array that's passed in, then we just do what Laravel does already. We just, pass that along because we want create to still work. Otherwise, we force fill the attributes that you passed in, bypassing guarded, bypassing fillable. Now, of course, if an attribute doesn't match up with a column in the database, you're still getting an exception. That's fine, that's current behavior. That's just the way it works. And then we call save, and we return the instance that we saved, right? So again, behaves the exact same way create does, except if you pass in validated input, the same stuff that comes off that safe call, or comes off of, or no, you only get it off safe. Validated gives you an array. So again, if you call validated the way you're currently doing it, it would just behave the same way. But this force fill is kind of the key, right? That's why I'm calling this like force create or safe create or whatever you want to call it. So this works. We can prove this out by going and making some kind of post request or something. I believe we say name and emails required. What is this? Let's see that. We might be able to see this on the browser. Let me see here. We have Laravel 12 ideas. We don't have, it's a get URL. I don't think it doesn't have to be post. We could actually get the URL and just put it in. We could put name and email in the URL parameters and probably see this work. I'm just trying to think of how we can demo this a little bit. So we're going to create an email this way. New user recreate response. Okay, 201 create. Okay, so let's get rid of some of this extra code and let's prove that this works. The user update request is a little bit misleading on the name, but we're going to leave it because we're eventually going to update something. So this is what we want to see work. Theoretically, the code is in place for this. Let's do composer run dev in this project and see if we can just use URL parameters and I don't have to go build like a big form or anything. So I'm hearing some chat. Let's see here. Yeah, cool. Yeah, Samuel. I think if you've used Laravel for a long time, you've kind of like outgrown the mass assignment dance, and you've either decided to just make everything unguarded because again, you as the developer, you know what you're doing, right? Or half the time you're writing your application, the first time you go to create something, you run into an issue. Oh yeah, I forgot to add that to fillable, right? Like, it's a crappy dance. It's not, for all of the beautiful DX inside of Laravel, like, this is kind of one of those age-old, like, gotchas. And I think we all just accept it, which is, again, it's fine. It's not like a bad thing per se, but again, compared to some of the new recent like beautiful DX, like really smooth DX, like it's just one of those like tiny little paper cut things that it's like, come on, we could do better than this. So anyway, let's go back to L12 hacks. Okay, and let's do composer run dev. All right, this is gonna spin up. Oh, we haven't done that before. I don't even know if we need run dev. That's a bit heavy. We could just go old school composer artisan serve, to be honest. Let's just pop this up. Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of, I think, Samuel's saying like a lot of people are just using model unguard and then they do their stuff. And I don't know. I feel like that wouldn't communicate as well as the code we're seeing here. Like, I'm passing in a safe object. I trust myself and Laravel to do the right thing. Model unguard, anything else, like, it just feels really, really heavy. Like, I don't want to unguard my whole system. I don't want to make everything, like, unguarded, right? So, anyway, if we say name, JMac, and we'll say, and email is equal to, I redirected too many times. Okay, we're going to have to figure that out. me@example.com. Okay, let's try that. Okay, internal server error. Here we go. So constrain user password. Okay, of course, we can't Okay, this is somewhat of an expected error. We're creating a user without a password. So let's do this. Let's kill this. I don't want to actually make a password for the purposes of this demo. So let's just go into our migrations for the users table. And password is nullable. Okay, maybe I just didn't MFS. Let's MFS. Migrate fresh seed, MFS. Nice little Taylor alias there. Okay, let's come back to serve. And let's refresh. Okay, 2, cool. It put it in the database. We're 2, we got a 201 response. It shows up in the browser with that. Cool. If I ran this again, if I ran it again, I would expect to get a database integrity constraint, I think, if it's unique. Yes, it is unique. Okay, so if I hit refresh, we get a unique constraint. Again, none of this has to do with our new creation method per se, but just kind of proving this out. So let's do me at jasonmccreary.me. Okay, 3. Okay, we just made another one. So this is proving that this works, right? So if we go back here, where's our little demo? There it is. So we are passing in a validated input, right? Coming off of safe. We haven't passed in any keys, so we get the full validated input object back. It's going into our overridden method, or not overridden method, but our defined create method. This is all dynamic and eloquent, but we're actually making one that says, hey, force fill it and save it. And then our thing is returning user ID 201. It's still hitting the browser. We're just getting the user ID back. So just to really, really drive this home, I'm going to empty out the fillable, right, for name and email. Technically, we had that in there. So let's remove that. Let's go make yet another new email address. We'll say you, and we're still getting 4. So fillables, nothing's set in fillable. No name, no email, none of the stuff we're saving to the database. This is working. And to prove kind of the mass assignment dance issue, if we go back here and we change this to user all, right? Or even just more commonly, I think, validated, right? And I go back and I try to refresh with Tom. There we go, mass assignment issues, right there, boom. So this is proof that our create method works the way we expect. Okay, cool, so it's working, good. Let's push the envelope just a little bit. Let's push the envelope just a little bit and see if we can do this for updated as well. So what we'll do is we'll change this. We'll change this to be, this is kind of hacky going in the query preamps here, but let's change 4 to be the name, some other name, right? So, we'll actually make it Jason McCreary. All right, and let's change our code. Let's change our code to be user equals user find or fail on request query ID, right? And then we want to say user update, and we could say request validated. Okay, we'll need to change one more thing. Let's drop email out of here. Let's just not make email required. Okay, so what this is going to do is going to take the ID, it's going to pull it from the database, then we're going to call updated on the validated data. Again, I think this is current code that you can write in your Laravel application. And instead of that, we'll say this, and we should get user ID 4 back when we have this, right? So this will not work. I think this will not work because name is not infillable. We're still going to get the mass assignment issue, I believe. I think update still honors mass assignment. You know what? I think it just flat out might not update. It's not going to see the change because it's not fillable. I don't know. Let's find out. Refresh. Okay, we got parent, 404 not found. Oh, I didn't. Let's say ID, did it refresh the page? What happened there? ID equals 4, name equals Jason McCreary. Yeah, there we go. Name's not fillable. Laravel 12 idea, or demo Laravel 12 idea is 16. Okay, so 16 is on update. Okay, cool. So update did attempt to get called, but it can't fill name because it's not fillable. Okay, so what if I passed in safe? If I refresh this, yeah, argument 1 must be type array, validated input passed. Okay, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Update, where's our create method? Here it is. The deal is update actually exists. Update. There it is. So what you'd have to do is the same thing we do here. We'd have to say, okay, update can be an array or validated input. It calls parent update, which checks if it exists, it fills, and then it calls safe. Okay, so what would have to happen is we would have to say if attributes is an instance of validated input, then same thing, we would say this force fill attributes all. Then we would carry on by calling parent update. Okay, so we should be able to refresh this. We don't get a type error anymore, and then we don't get that mass assignment error anymore because it's just force filling and passing along. Okay, it still doesn't like us. Must be of type array, illuminate validated input given. Why are we not getting in here? Missing, nope, that's not it. Oh, I think we have to restart. I think we have to restart serve because we changed our underlying code. Let's try this again. Refresh. Nope, still doesn't like it. Model attributes must be of type array, illuminate support, models user line 65. Oh, sorry. Okay. We kind of have to reset this. Yeah, we can't pre-assign it. That would be messed up. Or no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're force filling it either way. Okay, so we're gonna this is a little bit condensed. I wouldn't do this in the final trait, but we'll reassign attributes so it actually gets to become an array, which we pass into force fill, and then we need to call parent with the correct stuff. So our stuff was fine, but it didn't like line 65. I didn't look at the line number, 65. Okay. Now if we refresh, it wasn't artisan serve, it was me. Okay, name to fillable property to allow mass. Okay. Yes. We're not, yeah. Here's the hack. We don't set anything anymore. We just pass in an empty attributes array. We don't set anything anymore. Refresh. Parent 4. Where's parent coming from? That's strange. I think that's left over from an earlier live stream where we hacked down into the core. So ignore parent. So 4's there. We could get into Tinker. And say user find 4. There we go, Jason McCreary. So it changed it. Awesome. Here's the problem. Whoops. Here's the problem. And we kind of looked at this with find by. I can wrap this up in a trait and it's not going to be an issue because the create method doesn't actually exist on the model. But I think when you override an existing method that exists on the model, we're going to have to you got to say use this thing's update, not models update. I think I can't remember. Maybe it's when two traits conflict with something they're importing and not necessarily the base class. So I think we can override it, but here's the point. Let's take this code, wrap it up in a trait, and see if everything still works. That's what I want to do, because that's how it's going to be used in the real world. So we want to say something like safe save or something. Not the best name, but let's just start here. Let's get into this. Let's do a new file. We'll say safe save.php. We're going to make a namespace of app traits. Class equals safe save. Paste. All right. User still has safe save if we import it. Did I not call it that? Safe save. Safe save. Come on, PHP Storm, catch up. All right, we'll do it ourselves. Use app traits safe save. Okay, yeah, I see. Oh, did I call it a, sorry, trait. There we go. That was our problem. My bad. Okay. It's not blowing up. PHP Storm's not blowing. I thought the red squiggly was going to be for the update method, but it's not blowing up. So let's go back to serve, and let's change this back to JMac. Enter. Still 4. Okay, let's go back to Tinker. Back to JMac. There it is. That's it. It's that easy. I don't like the name safe save. I'll change that. But this works. This works. We can now pass in a safe object, safe data that's come off a form request. That's the only way, well, not the only way you're going to get validated input. You can, of course, make your own validated input bag. But the point is, even if you did that, you as the developer are saying that this is validated input. That's what it's called. Like, that's its object name. You're saying, here's a bag of pre-validated data that I trust as a developer. Save it, right? Just save it. Save it already. Don't make me fill out 17 other things. Don't make me call 5 other methods. Just save it. I'm the developer. Save it. Anyway, there you go. This works. So we are going to take this trait. Let's think on the name just for a second here. I was originally going to call this safe creation or safe create. I don't like using the word force. I appreciate that technically underneath this is like pre-calling force fill for you, but that's not really like the human intention of this thing. It's not really exactly what it does. They both end up calling save ultimately, right? So that's kind of where I'm coming with like save. Safe feels a little floofy. I don't know the right word there. Again, I'm using safe again on the technical side here. You could get a little like fancier with Laravel. You could say like save safely, or save safely. Like you could do weird stuff like that. Let's do this. Sometimes when I'm stuck on a name, I like to go to thesaurus, and let's just do like safe. Let's see what's in here. Unharmed. No. Okay. Not antonyms. As in protecting, secure. No. Not the right thing. Guard. Yeah, there's... yeah. There's something in there. Strong save. Yeah. Power save. Yeah. Save safely. Here's the thing, if this ever were to get into the framework, I unfortunately don't think these base methods would end up being changed. Just because, again, they're super core. Lots of things use them, packages use them, blah, 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 blah. They're just too widespread. I don't think it was the noise per se on the PR. I think, and Taylor even commented on the original PR for this, there's just so many things where you would kind of have to add this logic. There's type hints in there in some areas, as we saw with update. So the point I'm driving at is that in reality, if this really became part of the framework, like you do have all this like save, quietly. I think what would happen is if it ever got in the framework, this is how it would get in. It would get in with a suffix of something like this, create safely, and then its only thing, would be that, and it would probably still do something like this where it delegated on, but then you wouldn't need all this other dance, right? So the ultimate point I'm making here is because things like create quietly and update quietly and those kind of things exist, I'm leaning a little bit more towards save safely, because I think that could hint at a possible real addition to the framework, again, if this stuff gained some traction. So I think I'll probably start with save safely. Oh my God, I wrote it backwards again. Savely. Save safely. So if your model uses save safely, I kind of don't like the alliteration as I'm saying it, but anyway, if it uses save safely, then you can pass these types of things to create an update, right? So there it is. Basically, I'll take this trait, we'll move it over. We can do that part right now, actually. Let's just quit messing around. So let's go back. Let's go back to Laravel additions. We'll move .. L12 hacks app traits save safe save. We need to rename that to our own source traits. Oh, git pull. Let's get the latest stuff. There we go. Move .. L12 hacks app traits save, and then we'll put this into source traits. All right, let's get back into PHP Storm. Let's fix the names, and we'll just kind of end there. I think this is going to be pretty easy to mess with. So find by, we called this save safely. It's not in traits. This is in JMac additions traits, and then let's fix the name. Rename file to save safely. I'll think on it. It's either going to be safe save or it's going to be save safely. Haven't decided yet. Let me check the chat here. What's going on? Samuel, personal opinion, but I don't get why changing types are a problem for major versions at this point of major. Personally, zero breaking. Yeah. In fairness, I don't think they always consider changing of types to be a breaking change. Especially in a union type scenario like this, you're only adding additional types, and as such, it isn't a breaking change. With that said, again, and I said it a little bit ago, like I don't think the problem with merging this was about the type change per se. I think it was about the breadth at which this touches the framework, and not only the framework, but a core, component, eloquent that every app is going to use, right? Just so the breadth of this change, it wasn't that it was breaking, it was more that it was scary. It's just too scary. It's too scary of a change. And Taylor's even said this on podcasts, like he is not into changing eloquent, like core eloquent in any way, because it's so sweeping and it's so dense and so many things use it, and it would be a dangerous change, to be honest. Like I totally understand that part of it. So anyway, here is this, and yeah, so I really just need to write some tests for it, which are going to look very much like this find by test. I'll basically just new up a validated object, right? And then make sure that we can save that as a column onto the database, right? So basically the same stuff we were doing with artisan serve in the browser URL parameters. I'll just do it at a code level here where we, make a validated input object with things in the bag, and then we pass that in and see that I got saved, right? So pretty straightforward test. I'm not going to continue on the stream with that, but here it is. I'll write those tests later today, and hopefully we will tag I'll cross this out right there, boom, and we'll tag a V2. We'll tag a V0.2, right? I thought I made a tag already. Oh, I tagged a pre-release. It's not a real, yeah, here we go, initial release. So we'll tag an O2.0. You'll see a pre-release tag for V02 once this is available. But I think it's ready to go. So I'll post on Twitter when it's out and or star the repo, and you'll see when a new tag's out there. So, alrighty. Thanks everybody for joining live. See you next Wednesday.